Hello fellow Starbounders and welcome to a basic wiring tutorial. I will be going over basic logic and some practical examples. So let's get started, shall we? Here we have the core of wiring, the wire station. It is crafted at a robotic crafting station and unlocks when you upgrade to the gamma sector. As you can see, there are a lot of things to craft and I'll be going over each and every one of them at some point during this tutorial. To start, you'll want to craft a bunch of laser diodes. You can make a laser diode with one steel bar and one glass block. A steel bar can be made at a metal workstation with one iron bar and one coal. And a glass can be made by smelting fine sand in a furnace. You also want circuit boards. A circuit board can be made by one copper bar and 100 pixels. It is much more simple. Now, the most important thing to make next is the wiring tool. It will take a laser diode, a circuit board, as well as 10 gold bars, 10 silver bars, 10 copper bars, and 20 titanium panels. Titanium panels can be found in some dungeons, or you can craft them from titanium bars at your metal workstation. Every other recipe in here takes one laser diode and one circuit board, except for the defense turret, which also takes 5 platinum bars and 500 pixels. Now that the recipes are out of the way, let's get to the wiring. Here we have some basic input type items that can be crafted at the wiring station. We have a pressure plate on the floor, a small button and a large button on the floor, a wall switch, and a wall button. The pressure plate is only active when there is something on top of it. This can be the player, NPC, a monster, or even a dropped item. As you can see, I have the plate wired up to the alarm as well as the wall bulb. The wall bulb merely acts as a non-noisy way to see if something is receiving input. The alarm is a noisy way. But where are the wires, you may ask? Well, if you equip your wiring tool like so, you can see all the wires. Red circles are output and purple circles are input. You can have any number of outputs going into a single input, or conversely, you can have any number of inputs taking from a single output. Next we have the two floor buttons, the big one and the small one. These are deceptive in that one would naturally expect these to operate similar to a pressure plate, but they only activate if you press E on them, like so. Next we have the wall switch. If it is down, then it is off, and up is on. Simple enough. You can toggle this by pressing E with your mouse over it, or you can toggle it with its input, but I will be going over that later. For now, demonstration. Next we have the wall button, which is similar to its floor brothers, except it is mounted on a wall. When you press the button, it will output that it is on for about a second and then turn itself off. These are not all of the switches available, but these are the ones you can readily craft. The rest can be found in dungeons, and there are even some that resemble decoration but act as switches. These are mostly found in the Glitch Castle, the Apex Labs, and the Human Labs. Now I will explain the various gate type items. First we have the timer. It has one input and one output. It will blink at a rate of about half a second. However, when you turn on its input, it will hold its place whether it is currently off or on, and it will resume where it left off when the input loses its signal, like so. Next we have a NOT gate. This gate merely reverses an input. However, this minor ability is extremely useful in advanced logic. Next we have the 3 essential logic gates and their NOT counterparts. Let's start with the OR gate. As either of these inputs is active, then the gate will be active. Pay attention to it as I flip the switches. As you can see, as long as one input is on, then the gate is on. This is actually the same as just hooking up multiple outputs into a single input. This gate is still useful though because it allows organization as well as decreasing the number of wires used in more complex machines. The opposite to the OR gate is the NOR gate, which is simply adding a NOT gate to the output of an OR gate. This gate is only active when both inputs are off. Pay attention once again as I flip the switches. Next up we have the AND gate. It also has two inputs and one output, but it differs from the OR gate in that both input must be on in order for it to be on. Pay attention to both the NOT gate and the AND gate as I flip the switches. As you can see, both inputs must be on in order for the gate to be on. Conversely, the NOT gate above is only on when there is at least one switch off. This is known as the NAND gate. The NAND gate is like the true opposite of the OR gate, because the OR gate is on as long as one input is on, but the NAND gate is on as long as one input is off. Similarly, the NOR gate and the AND gate are like true opposites. Last but not least, in the logic family we have the XOR gate, and its counterpart the XNOR gate. The XOR gate has two inputs and one output like the previous, and is only on when they are of different values. The XNOR gate is only on when they are of the same value. Therefore, XOR can be compared to a NOT equals, and XNOR can be compared to an equals. Now watch as I turn off and on the switches. I'm sorry, I forgot that there is a limit to the number of wirings in an area, so let me fix this right quick. Simple enough. So as you can see there for a second, it didn't work at first. I forgot that I had returned to the ship earlier. I don't know how big the wiring limit is, and I don't know if it's per chunk or per the entire world, but it is annoying because some wires are disconnected when you reload a planet. Alright, now let's head on up to the attic. Here we have the special little gate known as the light sensor. It has two outputs. The output on the left is when it detects a dim light, and the output on the right is for when it detects a bright light. Each one of these indicators I have here on the wall is for a different light condition. The leftmost one indicates darkness, meaning that the light is less than dim. This is done by adding a NOT gate to a dim output. The second one here indicates greater than or equal to dim light, so if it is dim or bright, it will be active. This is the default output for dim. The third one indicates less than or equal to dim, so if it is dark or dim, this will be on. This is done by adding a NOT gate to a bright output. And the final one indicates greater than dim, so if it is bright enough, this one will be on. This is the default output of bright. Now using a flashlight, I will demonstrate how light levels affect the output. Pay attention to the indicators. Now let's go and see something slightly more advanced in the basement. Over here on the far left we have a latch gate. This I have not gone over yet. It is a bit complicated and I'm not sure of its use, but those who know more about computer engineering can probably use it for something. It has two inputs. The top input acts as an open or closed circuit, and the bottom input acts as a toggle. If the circuit is open, meaning that it is on, then you can toggle the latch. Conversely, if the circuit is closed or on, then the latch will be equal to whatever the input is. When the circuit is turned back off, it will retain whatever value that was last in its input. I will now show you a demonstration. Pay attention to the indicator bulb right here. As you can see, it is something else, but it's not so useful to me. Maybe someone can do something with it, I don't know. Next, we have a button connected to the input of a switch. This input will toggle the switch without the player pressing E on it, so when used as part as an elaborate machine, a switch could be called a toggle. I will now demonstrate. As you can see, it will not toggle again until it first loses input. Next, we have an XOR gate and a timer that has locked itself. This can be quite useful, and I will provide an example later. For now, I will demonstrate it. As you can see, the timer turns off temporarily while the button is pressed, then locks itself back on. Over here we have an extension of previous. The purpose of this device is so that when you press a button, you receive a delayed output. I use this in the later example I've been talking about, and will explain its purpose more in depth then. For now, a demonstration. As you can see, after the delayed output, it locks itself back to its default state. Ah yes, here's a simple use of pressure plates to make automatic doors. Simply put one on each side and wire them both to the door's input, and there you have it. Next we have a flashlight activated door. It's much more secure than the previous since it will prevent monsters from wandering into your base. You must provide cover over the switch and background up to 3 blocks away horizontally as I have here, otherwise the door will be opened by the sunlight during the day. Next we have the more practical automatic door that monsters can't enter. This works because the player emits a dim light around themselves by default. This requires more background and more ceiling though, otherwise the sunlight will activate it. Simply take note of how big the corridor is on the right as well as how big the ceiling is in order to recreate it. Another note is that the lantern on a stick back item can be used to activate dim sensors but not bright sensors. Next we have an example of a simple entry defense system. I'll start by showing you how to set up a turret. After the turret has been placed, you just have to press E on it to activate it. Turrets can accept input, but it is entirely pointless at this state. If a current ever becomes damaged or broken, then you can merely press E on it again to repair it. Behind the door ahead is a bright sensor, so you will need your flashlight. Now to demonstrate, imagine that I am being chased by a monster. As you can see, the door is firmly locked behind me. Nothing less than a flashlight will open it, and the monster will be barraged by bullets from the turrets. Simple, yet effective. Next, I will be showing a boss kill station using turrets. I will demonstrate its effectiveness using the second boss, which you will have had to beat anyway to unlock the wiring station, but if you don't want it to be spoiled because you're looking at things in the future, then simply skip ahead if you're interested. As you can see, it is quite effective. I've tested it on all bosses and have killed them without intervention. You may also have noticed that even a stray bullet is enough to activate a pressure plate. Next, I will show a somewhat complicated and impractical mechanism you can make with the wiring system. I will not explain exactly how to make it though. I will explain why I will not explain after I demonstrate it. Alright, we are here. This is a 3-digit 4-input pin numbered activated door. I will now demonstrate. I will now demonstrate what happens if you put in the wrong pin. As you can see, it resets itself. Alright. Now, up here on the top of each one of these, I use the delayed input mechanism that I showed earlier. I'm not going to really explain all this. As you can see, there's a bunch of wires. And for this reason, it is entirely useless, and I will show you why now. Well, that's odd. Last time I did this, some of the wires were completely broken, and I have no idea why they're not now. I'm going to try going back to my home planet and then coming back here and see if that changes anything. Alright, this is very odd. Normally, this would be broken when I come back. Maybe the game's just trying to make me look bad, but I would not recommend building anything that uses an extreme amount of wires, because your things will just be disconnected and completely broken, and it's a pain to try and rewire it. That's about all on that though. So at this point, just use wires for simple things like the examples I provided in the other planet. A few finishing notes. There's one more item that is called the drain. I have no idea how to get it to work though. I have submerged it in water, activated it, nothing happened. I built one above water as well as the one underwater, activated them, nothing happened. I don't know what it's for, I don't know how to connect it properly. It just doesn't work for me. Also, as far as I could find, there aren't any lights that take an input. So you can't create a light switch in your house to turn on all your lights or anything like that. I couldn't find a single light other than the alarm, but I don't even know if it emits light. I didn't check that. Even if it did, it would be noisy. So, well, that about covers it. I hope this helps my fellow Starbounders, so take care and have fun.